My friends, this world is loud. Everyone has something to say, something to prove, something to post, and something to show. But I want to talk about a different kind of power. The power of silence. The strength that comes not from shouting your dreams, but from silently working on them. Because the moment you choose to focus on yourself and stay silent, you start to build something no one can see coming until it is ready. Growth is born in silence, not in noise. Think of a seed planted deep in the ground. It does not announce its presence. It does not cry out for attention. It lies in darkness, quietly absorbing the nutrients, silently pushing its roots deeper, gathering strength without a sound. That is where growth begins, not in the noise of the crowd, not under the spotlight, but in the quiet moments when no one is watching. Most people do not realize this. They think the louder they are, the faster they will grow. They think that sharing every step, every idea, every minor achievement somehow makes them more serious about their goals. But real growth does not need applause. It needs patience, it needs focus, and most importantly, it needs silence. When you are silent, you are connected to yourself. You are not reacting to every opinion. You are not chasing external validation. You are listening to your own voice, the one that tells you where you need to improve, what you need to face, and what you need to do next. That voice becomes clearer when you step away from noise, because in silence truth rises, clarity sharpens, ideas form, confidence grows from within. There is no distraction, just you and your next step. People waste too much energy trying to be heard. They want to defend their plans, justify their actions, and announce their dreams. But here is the truth: when you talk too much about what you want to do, your brain gets tricked into thinking you are already doing it. That illusion steals your drive. You feel satisfied just by saying it, and then you stop putting in the work. On the other hand, when you stay silent, your desire burns hotter. You are not sharing your vision with everyone, so it becomes more personal, more protected, more sacred. It becomes something you guard, not something you throw around for approval. Silence creates space, space to reflect, to learn, to prepare. It is in that space that you understand yourself better. You see where you are lacking, what habits are slowing you down, what thoughts are distracting you. That honest self-audit cannot happen in noise. It can only happen when you remove the layers of external pressure and truly look at where you stand. And from that self-awareness, growth begins. Not the kind of growth that impresses others, but the kind that transforms you from the inside out. Growth in silence is sustainable because it is not based on other people's reactions. It is not dependent on likes, comments, or attention. It is rooted in your own discipline. It is guided by your own hunger. It is measured by how far you have come, not by how many people noticed. That is why silent growth is so powerful. No one can stop it. No one can ruin it. No one can even see it until it is done. And by then, it is too late for the doubters. Too late for the critics. Too late for those who said you could not do it. Because you already did. This kind of growth does not need permission. It does not need approval. It just needs consistency. You show up every day, quietly. You build brick by brick, without applause. You improve, correct, adjust, without any audience. You build a version of yourself that is unshakable because it was built without the noise. It was built in moments of discipline, when no one cheered, in moments of doubt when you kept going anyway, in moments of silence where you decided to bet on yourself. That is the kind of growth that lasts. That is the kind of growth that does not break under pressure, because it was not built for show. It was built for strength. Your energy is sacred. Spend it on becoming, not explaining. Every day you wake up with a limited amount of energy. You can either use it to build yourself or waste it convincing others of your worth. The truth is, people will always have opinions. They will question your path, your choices, your pace. If you try to respond to all of it, you will burn out before you even begin. But when you truly understand that your energy is your most valuable asset, you stop giving it away so easily. You stop spending it on conversations that go nowhere, on arguments that serve no purpose, and on people who were never going to understand you in the first place. There is a quiet kind of power in choosing to work instead of explain. When you are focused on becoming better, you do not feel the need to justify your every step. You are not here to provide a PowerPoint presentation on your progress. You are here to do the work. That is where your energy belongs. Every moment spent explaining your dreams to people who are not even dreaming themselves is a moment stolen from your growth. That kind of explaining never ends. You say one thing, they question another. You take one step forward, and someone tries to pull you back with doubt. If you stop to answer every voice, you will never hear your own. Growth is not loud, it does not require an audience, and it certainly does not need a committee of approval. When you value your energy, you start protecting your time, your thoughts, and your space. You choose where your attention goes. You learn to say no, not out of arrogance, but out of clarity, because you know what you are working toward, and you know that every distraction, every useless debate, every validation seeking moment pulls you away from your goal. People who truly grow are often misunderstood. They seem distant, maybe even rude, because they are not available for every conversation, but they are not being rude. They are being intentional. They know that they are not on this earth to impress people. They are here to become the best version of themselves. That requires focus, that requires energy, and that energy is too precious to be wasted explaining why you are doing what you are doing. The world loves noise. It rewards loudness, drama, and distraction. But success rewards consistency. It rewards discipline. It rewards the ones who are too busy building to stop and explain. The ones who say, "You will understand when I am done." And that is exactly the mindset you need. Do not be available to every distraction. Do not offer yourself to every opinion. Be ruthless with your energy. Give it only to the things that make you stronger, wiser, and better. Your energy decides your future. If it is scattered, so is your growth. But if it is directed, protected, and focused, then your future becomes clear. Every time you resist the urge to explain and choose instead to act, you step into power, not the power that needs approval, but the kind that changes you from within. That is the real goal, not to be seen as something but to actually become it, to build in silence, to evolve in peace, and to arrive not with noise but with results. When you realize how much you can do with the energy you usually waste on explaining, your entire path shifts. You start to move differently. You start to think long term. You let go of the need to be understood and embrace the process of becoming. You stay grounded in your work, in your mission, and you stop expecting everyone to get it, because the truth is, they will not, and they do not need to. You are not becoming for them, you are becoming for you. Greatness comes from discipline, not display. In today's world, it is easy to fall into the trap of thinking that looking successful is more important than actually becoming successful. People spend hours crafting the perfect post, editing their lives for attention, presenting half-formed efforts as if they are complete masterpieces. But all the filters in the world cannot build a strong foundation. Display may catch an eye for a second, but discipline builds a legacy, and legacy cannot be faked. Discipline is doing the work when no one is watching. It is showing up when you do not feel like it, staying committed when it is boring, staying focused when it is hard. Discipline is not exciting and it rarely looks impressive on the outside. It is the early mornings when everyone else is asleep. It is the late nights when distractions are calling your name. It is choosing effort over ease, progress over comfort, practice over praise. That is the real grind. That is what makes the difference. Display might get you applause, discipline gets you results. The problem with chasing display is that it makes you work for attention instead of mastery. It makes you focus on looking the part instead of becoming the part. It turns your energy outward when the real work demands you to turn inward. Greatness is an internal game. It is not decided by how many people cheer you on, but by how deeply you commit to yourself when no one else believes in what you are doing. A disciplined life does not shout, it speaks through consistency, through quiet effort, through a refusal to quit. Discipline means training your mind to obey your goals instead of your moods. It means making promises to yourself and keeping them. That is where real confidence is built, not in applause, not in likes, but in the quiet victory of showing up again and again when quitting would be easier. Display fades quickly. What looked impressive yesterday is forgotten today. But discipline creates something permanent. It turns talent into skill. It turns passion into results. It turns ordinary into unstoppable. The people who reach the top are not always the most talented, they are the most disciplined. They do not wait for motivation to hit. They create systems, they track their habits, they fail, but they do not stop. That kind of determination cannot be bought, borrowed, or faked. It is tempting to chase quick wins, to do what looks good, to impress others. But that path is hollow. It leads to burnout, insecurity, and a need to constantly prove yourself. Discipline, on the other hand, sets you free because once you build the muscle of consistency, you no longer need to explain yourself. You let your results speak. You let your work walk into rooms before you do. You build something real, and real always outlasts fake. There will be days when nothing is working, when you feel stuck, when no one notices your effort. Those are the days that shape you. Those are the moments where discipline steps in, where you stop looking for signs and start creating momentum. You stop waiting for the perfect time and start trusting the process. Discipline does not need perfect conditions. It creates progress in imperfect moments. That is why it is so powerful. You do not need to display everything you do. You do not need to prove your worth with decoration. Your greatness is being built in quiet choices, in waking up early, in saying no to distractions, in focusing on one more reap, one more page, one more step. The outside world might not see it right now, but one day when the results show, they will ask how you did it. And the answer will be simple. You chose discipline over display every single time. Let your results make the loudest sound. You do not need to prove anything with words when your work speaks volumes. In a time where people announce every small move, post every step, and seek validation before even starting, you must choose a different path. A quieter one. A more powerful one. Let your results be the reply to every doubt. Let your success be the response to every question. When your outcomes are clear, explanations are no longer needed, results are undeniable. People may question your decisions, your timing, your methods, but they cannot question your results. Results are facts. They speak without emotion. They settle arguments without a word. The person who delivers results controls the conversation. They do not need to shout, to convince, to defend. They simply show what they have done, and what they have done becomes their voice. It is tempting to talk about your plans, your struggles, and your progress. It feels good to be understood, to be seen, to be applauded. But those things are temporary. What stays is what you actually build. What lasts is what you actually achieve. Talking about goals does not achieve them. Only work does. And when the work is done well, it speaks for itself. Loudly, clearly. Without you needing to add anything. There is something powerful about a person who moves in silence but shows up with results. They do not waste time arguing with doubters. They do not engage in petty conversations. They are too busy working, too focused to get distracted by noise. And when their results arrive, people stop and notice, not because they were told to, but because the truth cannot be ignored when it is standing in front of them. Results are earned in quiet hours, behind closed doors, with no spotlight. They are born in repetition, in routine, in relentless effort. They come from the discipline to do what needs to be done even when no one is watching. That is why results carry weight, because they come with a cost paid in time, sweat, failures, and resilience. That cost is not visible to everyone, but the outcome is. The loudest people are often the least prepared. They talk big, but they fall short when it is time to deliver. Because talking is easy, showing results is hard. It requires patience, sacrifice, and consistency. It requires doing the right thing over and over again, even when progress is invisible. But those who keep going eventually reach a place where their results make all the noise they ever wanted to make without them saying a word. Results make people listen, not because you force them to, but because they cannot ignore something real. You will not need to remind people of your worth when your work demonstrates it. You will not need to explain your journey when your destination speaks for itself. The person who delivers consistently is always respected in the long run, even by those who doubted them at first. Let your work walk into rooms before you do. Let your progress become your identity. Let your actions become your language. Do not fall into the trap of oversharing, over-explaining, or overcompensating. Stay locked in, stay grounded. Build quietly, improve daily, and when the time is right, let your results enter the conversation. Because when your results speak, even your silence becomes powerful. Even your presence becomes enough. Even your quietest moments carry authority. That is the level you are aiming for, not just to be heard, but to be undeniable. Not just to be seen, but to be respected. And you get there not by noise, but by doing the work, staying patient, and letting the results do all the talking. Self-focus is not selfish, it is the foundation of success. We live in a world that tries to make you feel guilty for choosing yourself. The moment you start prioritizing your peace, your goals, and your growth, someone will say you have changed. And you have, because staying the same was costing you too much. You cannot grow into the person you are meant to be while constantly pouring into everyone else and leaving yourself empty. Self-focus is not about ignoring others, it is about finally noticing yourself. Every successful person you admire has, at some point, made the hard decision to put their time, energy, and heart into their own journey. They did not wait for others to validate them. They did not explain themselves to everyone who asked. They got quiet. They locked in. They started putting their energy into their habits, their learning, their daily discipline. That is not selfishness. It is responsibility. Because if you do not take care of your goals, no one else will. If you do not guard your vision, it will disappear in the noise of other people's opinions. There is a difference between being self-centered and being self-aware. Self-centeredness demands everything from others but gives nothing in return. Self-awareness demands the best from yourself first. It means asking, what do I want to create? What kind of life am I building? What habits am I feeding? These are questions you can only answer when you stop living on autopilot and start focusing inward. The world will always demand your attention. There will always be someone needing your help, some drama to get involved in, or a new distraction dressed up like opportunity. But when you start focusing on yourself, you begin to see the difference between what is urgent and what is important. You realize that your energy is not infinite. You cannot give your best to the world if you have not first given your best to yourself. So you start making different choices. You start saying no to things that drain you. You stop explaining your boundaries. You start honoring your time. The hard part about self-focus is that it often means walking alone. You may lose people who are comfortable with the version of you that always said yes, that always showed up, that always sacrificed. But growth demands space. Success needs solitude. And the people who truly care will understand, or they will grow to understand. Your job is not to keep everyone comfortable. Your job is to become who you are meant to be. When you focus on yourself, you begin to unlock potential you did not even know you had. You start seeing patterns in your life. You realize where your time is going, who is taking your energy, what habits are hurting your progress. And then with quiet confidence, you start making adjustments, small changes, daily disciplines, intentional moves. You are not showing off. You are not explaining. You are simply building. And that kind of quiet focus is unstoppable. You also start developing a deeper relationship with your own mind. You stop being a stranger to your thoughts. You begin to understand your triggers, your strengths, your weaknesses. That self-knowledge becomes a tool. You start leading yourself with more clarity. You become more stable, more focused, more effective. And in that process, you become someone others can rely on, not because you are always available, but because you are whole. Self-focus teaches you to listen more to your intuition. You stop chasing trends. You stop comparing. You start respecting your own rhythm, your own timing, your own journey. And in doing so, you develop something rare, peace. Not the kind that comes from everything going right, but the kind that comes from knowing you are on the right path. Even if it is quiet, even if it is slow, even if no one claps for it. Because deep down you know that this path is yours. Silence builds power. Noise only seeks attention. In a world obsessed with visibility, silence becomes your hidden strength. Most people are so addicted to being seen and heard that they forget the real weight lies in being effective, not just noticed. Noise is easy, anyone can make it. Shout loud enough, and someone might turn their head. But what does that really mean? What does it build? What does it change? Nothing. It comes and goes like a spark in the wind. But silence, when aligned with purpose, builds momentum that cannot be stopped. It gathers energy, sharpens focus, and turns vision into reality quietly, steadily, without distraction. When you choose silence over noise, you step out of the race for attention. You stop measuring your progress by how many people clap. You start building for the long term. Noise is about impressions. Silence is about foundations. People chase impressions because they want immediate validation. But impressions fade. Foundations last. And those foundations are built in private, where no one is cheering, no one is watching, and no one is interrupting. That is where the strongest people are forged. Not on stage, but in solitude. The more noise you make, the more energy you lose. Trying to be seen, to be understood, to be praised, it all drains your strength. And the worst part, it rarely satisfies. You get one compliment and then you need another. You get one like and then you want 10. Noise feeds insecurity. It makes you crave attention instead of respect. But silence teaches you to value your own approval, to trust your journey, to walk forward even when no one is looking, because you are not doing it for them. You are doing it for you. Power grows in stillness, like the calm before a storm. You may not see it, but it is coming. The most powerful people are not the loudest in the room. They are the ones observing, listening, calculating, planning. They do not need to dominate conversations, they let their presence speak. And when they do speak, people listen. Because silence makes your words heavier, it makes your presence stronger, it creates mystery, and mystery creates impact. There is also wisdom in silence. When you are quiet, you learn more. You hear things others miss. You notice patterns, you see people for who they really are. You understand situations better. And most importantly, you learn about yourself. Your thoughts become clearer. Your goals become sharper. Your decisions become more intentional. All of that power comes from silence, not from yelling, not from proving, from being still enough to hear the truth rise from within. The ones who are always making noise often do it out of fear. Fear of being forgotten, fear of not being enough. So they keep shouting, posting, performing, hoping someone notices. But power does not come from being noticed. It comes from being prepared. When you focus on preparation, you realize that silence is your best friend. It keeps you grounded. It protects your process. It shields you from unnecessary opinions. And when the time is right, it lets your work do all the talking. If you want real power, learn to say less and do more. Learn to observe before reacting. Learn to act without announcing. Let others waste their time on noise. You stay focused on the build. You stay connected to the vision. And when the world finally sees what you have done, it will not matter that you were quiet. In fact, your silence will be the very thing that made the result so loud. Because while they were shouting, you were working. While they were performing, you were mastering. And when you finally stepped into the light, there was nothing left to prove. Just power fully earned, fully formed, and built in silence. Stop sharing your plans. Let your work talk. There is a dangerous habit. Many fall into the habit of talking too much about what they are going to do. It feels good to say it out loud. It gives a temporary high, like you have already achieved something. But the truth is, every time you speak your plans before they are ready, you expose them to doubt, to distraction, and to delay. Your plans are like firewood. You protect them, stack them, and light them only when the time is right. If you keep lighting sparks before the fire is built, all you get is smoke and no flame. Talking about your goals gives you the illusion of progress. You think because you shared them, you are one step closer. But in reality, your energy is leaking. The more you explain, the less you execute. The more you broadcast, the more pressure you invite. Suddenly, it is no longer about what you want to build, it becomes about proving to others that you are capable. That is not real growth, that is performance. Your plans deserve protection, not publicity. There is a sacredness in your vision. It was born in your heart and mind, not theirs. No one else can see it the way you do. So why throw it out there for everyone to analyze, judge, or worse, steal? The world does not need another voice shouting intentions. It needs examples of quiet action turning into results. And those examples are always built in silence. Every time you share your next move before it is done, you open the door to doubt. You may meet someone who tells you it will never work, that it has been done before, that you are not ready. And maybe you were confident before, but now that doubt starts to echo in your head. All because you spoke too soon. You gave someone else a chance to inject their fear into your dream. And fear, once it takes root, slows you down. It makes you second guess. It makes you hesitate. Instead, let your progress be the announcement. Let your actions do the talking. Let people see the outcome without warning. When you walk in silence, no one can prepare to stop you. No one can block a move they do not see coming. That is the power of silence, it builds without interruption. And when the moment comes, it speaks with the volume of results. Think about the greatest achievements, the inventions, the breakthroughs, the empires. They were not built on social media updates. They were not developed in public forums. They were crafted in quiet rooms, late nights, lonely mornings, steady hands. The world found out only when they were ready. That is the rhythm of real creation. First build, then reveal. First master, then perform. First achieve, then inspire. Talking about your plans can also trap you in a cycle of identity. You become known for what you are trying to do, not what you have done. And when your identity gets attached to your promises, you feel pressure to maintain a certain image rather than focus on real execution. That image can become a prison. You feel watched, judged, and slowly your freedom to fail, to experiment, to grow disappears. All because you talk too early, too much, too often. Protect your plants the way a mother bird protects her nest. Cover them until they're strong enough to fly. Keep them close, keep them quiet. Let them develop in the safety of your work. When they are ready, they will show themselves. They will fly and everyone will see them. And by then it will be too late to doubt them, question them, or stop them. Because they will not be plans anymore, they will be reality.